Hello, today we have with us Mr. Pankaj Razdan, very noted and renowned investment banker. He has to his credit being named the youngest CEO of mutual funds, and his word is considered very strongly in the capital markets. Hello, Pankaj ji. As you know that Prime Minister Modi has completed ADS as Prime Minister of this country. What do you think India and this state of Maharashtra have gained from his robust leadership in the last 8 years?
First of all, thank you, Parikshit, for asking me to speak about one of my favorite leaders up to my life. I think I've been a very voracious reader apart from talking about India. I keep reading about a lot of leadership. But the list is too long. I think it'll take me hours to go and describe it. But the biggest two or three things which I think every Indian should feel a lot of, take pride in what Mr. Modi has done is he's got a lot of self-confidence back to the country and to the countrymen. He's imbibed the feeling of true nationalism. What really a true nationalism, what stands for the country. And third, I think he has really created a very strong balance of soft and hard infrastructure for the country to really grow. And we can elaborate in the major length. Like for example, you look at the hard infrastructure, his focus on building, connecting the roads at the border, or whether building, infrastructure for connecting cities, linking waters, building a smart infrastructure around, sanitation, building great hard infrastructure for people to go and use the livelihood through other gas. So lots of those things. So a lot of people keep focusing on that. But a country like India, if you have 130 crore people, which is trying to come up, moving very fast about in the prosperity line, you can't ignore the soft infrastructure, because without that, the country will collapse. Well, look at least I can tell you from the banking industry, look at the phenomenal work has been done by this government on IBC. Before this, the company would just vanish after taking loan. The bankruptcy code had changed the way capital market and the industrial market work in this country. That's a soft infrastructure. You look at the kind of small bloodless surgeries, I call them. You don't even feel that the surgery has been done, but it's been done. The kind of change in the commerce, in the financial rules and regulations have really happened, whether it's a takeover code, whether it's building risk appetite by putting money on the table for SME in terms of venture capital. So the amount of soft infrastructure is done it because soft infrastructure allow people to give their best. They create ecosystems for growth, and those ecosystems will feed on the hard infrastructure. I think no other leader in this country has ever thought about putting such a fine balance of taking a hard infrastructure and a soft infrastructure.
So, Pankaj, when Mr. Modi came in as Prime Minister, there were a lot of negative about the kind of load on the banks. A lot of NPAs, talk of NPAs, and that affected the capital markets also, the sentiment. So how do you think, and what do you think, what are the good things he has done for the banking system and the capital markets, and how do you see it in the future, in the future?
So I think banking and finance is the fabric of the economy. If this fabric is weak, it will grow and the economy will grow. You have to stand in the banking and finance industry. That's why I started with. I think this country needed the bankruptcy code some 30 years back. I don't know why people never thought about it. So when you build the bankruptcy code on one hand to ensure that nobody loses money, so if the asset is good, if the management is poor, asset can be run by somebody good. But at the same time, you have to feed lots of capital, internal and external. He created capitalization of the bank. He recapitalized the bank at the right point of time. He built lots of rules and regulations which made lending very easy. Nobody would have ever thought India would build an ecosystem of venture capital and startup like this. Look at the man showed his vision from budget by giving money to SIDBI and other venture capitalists start doing it. And in fact, I deal with SIDBI, I keep talking to them all points of time. He says, we have never seen this kind of work in last so many decades, where the finance ministry is asking them every day how much money has gone, where has gone, what industry has gone. So these are soft infrastructure. This encourages people like me to become entrepreneur. We start, instead of leaving the country out, we start coming back. So I think these are all the work and the encouragement which was given to small finance bank, NBFCs, everyone to come and start lending it. When you make this environment very good, which is a soft infrastructure, which also includes the way you handle your law and legal matters, that's a very strong point of a soft infrastructure, you start attracting foreign capital. A lot of people keep asking what India has done. India has attracted the highest amount of FDI ever in its life, and globally you look at in the market in the region, we are still the fastest growing FDI. Nobody is going to come with the capital and put in a country if they don't believe that they can take the money back. And that's again is a soft infrastructure, giving a belief that this system will be fair and just for every single penny which comes into this country. So lot of needs to be worked. Like for example, I'm a fan of this. Like at the same time, the bankruptcy court has worked, where NCLT has to really start working much more aggressively in terms of. And I just read it day for yesterday. They said that if 90% of the people have, for example, lenders have agreed to send the loan, we don't need to go back to the same process. Like we can really do it. So some of this stuff has to come back, where NCLT doesn't take 12 to 18 months to sort the cases. But great job done on from that.
Mr. Pankaj, you are someone who is well traveled across the world. Do you see a marked difference? A lot of people say that over the last 8 years, the value of Indian passport has grown exponentially. The way the world looks at Indians is very different to compared to before. So, do you see that difference, and how do you see foreign investors looking at the Indian market after 8 years of Modi's tenure?
So I think it's a very pertinent question, and I must say that I take a lot of pride in traveling with my passport. I've always been a proud Indian. I mean, I take a badge of India with a lot of pride. I think it's an honor to be born in this country. But certainly in last 8 years, as a professional investment participant and also as an Indian, I must admit that the amount of respect, recognition, and opportunity we get today, we have never seen it before. And I think it also stems by the fact that the country is progressing very well. It all stems back from the fact that we have a great leadership in a country, and the leadership is very progressive. Well, you can have a leadership which can take you back 20 years, but the leadership is progressive, then everybody wants to be a friend. Who doesn't want to be a friend with the progressive people? All parts of the world, they see opportunity here. I mean, you're 1/5 of the world population, you are the fastest growing economy. Who doesn't want to be here? I think the only barrier was the amount of bureaucracy India had here, the amount of political interference India had here, the amount of, I would say that, I have to be very careful the choice of word I use, but you have to have a lot of political ecosystem around you to go and be successful there, which is not there. Not today, it's on merit. So I go and talk to people all across the world who are very, very large investors. They are sovereign funds, they are large family offices, they are large funds. I mean, they are one of the top 10 global funds. I did one deal. In fact, in pandemic, I helped a company buy out. The company was going through almost in a difficult phase, and they needed capital. Even in a pandemic time, I could manage to get one of the largest private equity player of Asia to come and write a very, very large check. Right? So it's only possible when they have a faith in the country, and faith comes from the leadership and the action of leadership. And there are a tremendous number of actions to go and talk about.
Great. Mr. Razdan, how do you see the next 2 years? As a citizen of this country, as a eminent person of this country, what more do you expect from this government in the next, and Modi ji in the next coming 2 years?
I think India is a very difficult country because we can keep asking too many things from Mr. Modi ji, because he has to balance both the political system, social system, and economic system. I think my sense is a lot of work has been done on the political system. The way the whole politics of India is looking at, and everybody has come back to a fore that if you want to survive in politics, you have to actually start performing. I think the old era of just being in the politics because you want to govern is really gone, or you want to, just be there for the name's sake. I think social ecosystem also is built in very well. Though every single policy have a very significant impact on social system as much as it does on a political system. A third curve on the economy, because if the economy start growing, ultimately prosperity is a bigger way of building people and binding people together. I mean, if everybody is happy, making money, prosperous, get a career. So I think a lot of stuff has been happening in the recent past. I would love to see some kind of progress where you have already taken a step. One of them happened to be, I think, banking industry have done lots of regulation. I think we need to free the banking industry a little more. I mean, public sector bank needs to get, they should stand on their own feet. They should not need any more crutches from, a lot of privatization still needs to be done on that stuff. I believe that India has got such large potential. We need to really invest more again in the soft infrastructure of legal systems, processes, so more and more foreign capital will come in. I mean, today when we do a deal, people ask us, why don't we do an arbitration in London and Singapore? Why? I mean, they have to, I think Indian judiciary is more stronger, our laws are more equally better. So I think we need to really look at some of those things and see that if people want to come and do business here, we need to build a very, very strong, if we have built in the recent past the infrastructure, but we continue to really grow, keep growing on that thing. Because at the end of the day, if we do all this thing, money is like water, it will flow where it is going to find its way. And if India is going to be such an interesting place, great transparency, unfortunately nobody denies the fact that India is one of the most interesting markets for every part of the world, for any business. The only distance remaining to be covered is always how do you build a rules, regulation, framework, and so the acceptance become much more easier.
Thank you, Mr. Razdan, for your
My
time,
pleasure.
your valuable time that you gave us, and I hope that we satisfy all your expectations.
And as I said, that you keep doing, the list is very long, they have achieved it. Since you asked me what is expected, so I told you, otherwise the list is very, very long. I think the list of achievements cannot be described in what he has done it in last year. I think India is blessed to have a leader like him, who thinks of the country first, and then I think he thinks only about the country, nobody else.
Thank you. Thank you very much.